everyone, it's Dr. Angela here. I have a question for you. What happened the last time you slipped? Did you beat yourself up? Did you hide in shame? Um, what was going on in your head? That's what I want to talk about today because I want to talk to you about self-compassion. So if you don't know me, I'm a board-certified weight loss specialist practicing in Olympia, Washington. And I'm the founder and creator of Journey Beyond Weight Loss, an online program designed to help people lose weight and keep it off. So all people slip all the time, and I see it so frequently. Somebody will come in with their proverbial tail between their legs, and they just feel so ashamed because they slipped up and they didn't want to come back and see us, and they feel terrible about themselves and they can't believe it happened, especially if they've been doing really, really well for quite a long time. And they've just been really beating themselves up. And so I want to teach you what to do when that happens. And what I'm going to teach you are the skills of self-compassion. And this is based on research that was done by Dr. Kristen Neff and her partner, Dr. Christopher Garner. And they've got a whole website on self-compassion, which is awesome. So the 3 skills of self-compassion that I'm going to teach you today are mindfulness, shared humanity, and kindness. Okay, so I'm going to unpack that, and I need to explain first to you what's going on in your brain. So here's what's happening. There is a primitive part of your brain that is responding to threats, and your brain perceives this slip as a threat. Okay, so the primitive brain has mechanisms to fight off threats. In the old days, it was predators, right? So the proverbial saber-toothed tiger. And so the brain is getting ready to either fight, flee, run like heck, or freeze. Now, you may have heard of fight or flight, but you might not realize that freeze is also one of the options. Hold still in place. Okay? So fight, flight, or freeze. What happens is today, most threats that occur are not threats, physical threats from outside of us. They are threats to our self-esteem. And so we end up turning that fight, flight, or response, that fight, flight, or free response inwards to ourselves. So the fight becomes self-criticism. The flee becomes isolation and hiding. And the freeze becomes rumination. So we're thinking these self-degrading thoughts and they're ruminating in our head. Okay, so we want to use higher levels of our brain to counteract that reptilian basic threat defense response. Okay, so here's what you do. The first thing you're going to do is to become mindful. So what does that mean? Name the feeling that you're feeling. So for example, maybe you're feeling frustrated. Maybe you're feeling disappointed. Maybe you're feeling angry. Whatever the feeling is, you want to name the feeling. I feel frustrated because I slipped. Okay? One thing I want to say is that slips are really common. It is so hard when you live in this country. I was at a diabetes conference recently, and you know what they served for snacks? Bagels at a diabetes conference. You know what they served us for lunch? It was a beautiful chicken salad, but it had a roll in it, and it had a chocolate ganache kind of thing with a mint mousse. I mean, if they can't get it right at a diabetes conference, like, it's really hard. So you're gonna slip. So the question is, how do you feel? And you want to make sure that you name that feeling and you say, I feel blank because I slipped. And you're not going to be allowing yourself to ruminate in these I'm a failure kinds of thoughts. Okay? So that's step 1. Step 2 is to remind yourself of your common humanity. All people struggle. You're a human being. You're here on a path of growth. All people have hard times and all people struggle. You are not alone in this, okay? Super important to understand that. Reach out for connection with another human soul. However that may be. You could get on the phone. You could get in our wonderful Sugar and Flower Busters Society. There's so much supportive stuff going on in Sugar and Flower Busters. I absolutely love it. It just warms my heart to see how people are really supporting each other there. So reaching out for connection instead of isolating, okay? The third piece is self-kindness. So you want to treat yourself like your own best friend. You want to become an inner ally rather than an inner enemy. So how would you treat your best friend if he or she was struggling with slips? Treat yourself the same way, okay? Always give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Now, if you grew up with a harsh, critical parent, it's entirely possible that all of this stuff might be really foreign to you, and it might feel like a little bit crazy, okay? So many of us had parents who were also parenting us from the primitive reptilian parts of their brain, and so they were critical and they were harsh. Now, we don't want to blame them for that because they didn't know any better. But what you do want to understand is that if you were raised with a harsh, critical parent, your easiest response right now, your number one response is going to be to go into that self-criticism. And so becoming compassionate with yourself is going to take some practice. So be aware of that. It's a learning process, okay? So what are you going to do the next time you slip? Just a reminder, number one, name your feeling. What am I feeling? Number two, reach out for connection. Remind yourself that you're a human being. Don't let yourself isolate. Reach out. And number three is going to be very, very kind. Treat yourself like you would treat your own best friend. Okay? So leave me some comments below this video. Let me know how you're doing with this. And if you have any questions, let me know that. If you want more weight loss tips, I've got a free guide called The 3 Biggest Weight Loss Mistakes. And that link is below. So feel free to download that and enjoy and be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself, okay? And oh, by the way, I do also want you to know, some people worry that if they're too kind to themselves, that they'll end up just giving themselves excuses when they slip up. So they'll end up failing because they just are tolerating bad behavior in themselves. And I want you to know the research does not bear that out. The research shows that people who are truly kind with themselves are the ones who are able to sustain these long-term changes that are necessary in order to lose weight and keep it off. And the research shows that people who are really harsh and judgmental and critical with themselves, they're the ones who give up. Okay, so again, self-compassion, huge key. All right, so I'll talk to you next time. Have a great time, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.